Unleash the power of purpose with impactful business voices, hosted by Nancy Baki and Anita Larsen. Each week, you'll be inspired by stories from companies that are making a real difference in the world, and you'll learn practical tips on how to grow your business with an impact.
Welcome and welcome back, and welcome to any new listeners, viewers to the Impactful Business Voices podcast. Every week, we talk to business owners, entrepreneurs that make an impact in the world, in their communities, in the lives of their clients or others around them. And we want to find out what drives them. I'm Anita Larsen.
And I'm Nancy Baki. And today we are thrilled to have an awesome special guest with us. For those that may know him or get to know him today, his name is Marcus Johnson. He is somebody that I met less than a year ago. He's a dynamic entrepreneur. He is a chart-topping jazz artist, and I love jazz. For those that don't know him, just check him out on Spotify. He's also a best-selling author, and he also has this visionary behind FLO Brands and FLO Wines, one of the best wines I've ever had. It's actually also one of the top Black-owned wine brands. So his music really touches our hearts, and his book, Flow for the Love of, is topping amazing bestseller list right now. So talking about love, of making a difference in the world, and that's why I really wanted to have Marcus here today. So let us all give him a warm welcome, and let's learn the impact that he's actually been making in our communities the last few years. Marcus, welcome.
Thank you. How you doing?
We are wonderful, thank you.
Awesome.
I think Anita is on. There's something going on in her internet. So are you back?
I'm back. I'm so
You're
sorry.
back? Okay, no, don't be. You're good. Go for it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I was just saying before the internet cut out on me, Nancy, that we should have one of those applause background sound.
Good idea. Good one.
Marcus, we're so excited to have you here. And just as a quick introduction to let everybody kind of get to know you, the lifestyle brand, FLO, the lifestyle brand. What does that mean? Of course, Nancy knows you. I don't know you as well as of yet, which I'm changing today. But you say FLO brand is about improving lives one sip and sound at a time. So what does that mean? What is a lifestyle brand?
Wow. So I look at lifestyle as being a partner with your consumers, and fitting within their lifestyle, or creating new opportunities for people to better understand who they are, and to express themselves the way that they would if they knew how to do so. Or you're adding, it's almost like lifestyle enhancement. Everybody already has a lifestyle. You insert your product or your service, or whatever you're offering to your consumer base to make it just a little bit better. And we say, one sip, one sound. Now with our candles, one scent at a time. Just, life is already just, I think in many ways traumatic on a regular basis. From the time that we wake up, we're bombarded with notifications. We're bombarded with information that is almost encouraging us to be disappointed with ourselves in order to motivate us negatively to go to places we don't want to be, with people we don't want to be with, doing things we don't want to do. And
Absolutely.
FLO is the opposite of that, is helping you see within yourself, just going deeper enough or deeper where you can actually determine what you do want and who you want to be with and the things that you do want to do, and finding ways to bring your passion to that, but creating the environment that allows you to do that. That's really what FLO, my music, the wine, the candles, that's what it's all about.
I love that. It actually, I hear when you say flow and a sip and sound and a scent at a time, it relaxes me. Just hearing that and thinking about it, it kind of gets. I love the name of it. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love it too. I felt that sense as well when you both said it. Marcus, I mean, the idea that you brought is really great. I love the lifestyle brand. How did it actually really come around? Like, how did it come about? Where did you start it? All that.
You know, it's funny because my mom was very concerned. My parents were very concerned when I was younger because they thought I was too nice and thought I cared about people too much. And I was just born with this kind of intrinsic quality of or desire to see people smile, to see people at peace. I never thought that I had to take from others in order to feel comfortable within myself. I never came from a perspective of scarcity. I was born with abundance. And with that, it's just developed into, I got into music because I wanted to write a song for a young lady back when I was in junior high school and high school. And I saw the smile on her face. And I was like, wait, you mean that's a superpower like that? And so with that and, just being able to talk to people, understanding that people don't want to be led by the marketing model. And I consider the marketing model the thing that gets us up and has us in social media all day scrolling, the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, evil, if you at some points. I think that there is an intrinsic quality that we all have that we need to be able to get back to connect to our higher power. And the fact that we're all connected. We all came from, the earth. We are all connected through the earth. And when we can reconnect to our soul, the world is better for it. And I believe that you can't have hate, let's say. You can't have hate. You can't have wars. You can't have people doing negative things to others while they're living their passion and happy about it. You can't be happy and sad at the same time. You can't be evil and thankful at the same time. You can't be thankful and mean at the same time. When you're really thankful, you have an attitude of gratitude. And that is something that is actually empowering. And I think that those who want us to buy things don't want us to know that because they feel as though we would get to a point of complacency. So then the economic model shuts down. But what we're seeing right now, I think, is the fact that people are exhausted. And even post-COVID, we are exhausted. And society's like, I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't want to pay any more money. I don't want to pay double for a drink that I was paying, 2 years ago. I don't want to pay, 1.5 times for this food. I don't want to go out anymore. I can just chill. And you have a lot of work to do, but I think that's where it comes in for me to be able to say, you can still go out and have fun. You can still make a difference. You can still go out and buy things that you might like or do things that you may like to do. Do it for the right reasons.
I love it. You said it so beautifully. And I mean, is that what got you to your journey to write Flow for the Love of? Is that what brought the book writing?
Absolutely. I was going places and I've always been kind of cast as an old soul. And I would talk from the stage. If you come to one of my concerts, I break it down for 10 or 15 minutes and just talk to people. Almost like a positive Pied Piper where you get them in with the music, but then you let them know, like, this is possible for you as well. These are the things that you can do in your life to actually have something that is fulfilling. And so I would leave and people were like, well, do you have it written down in a book? Or if I spoke somewhere, where can I get that? And I just was like, okay, it's time. So I started sitting in the back of airplanes because I was doing a lot of traveling when we first launched the wine brand from the East to the West. And it was interesting because by the time I got from DC to San Francisco to get to Napa and then back, oh, wow, that's 2 chapters done. And then the next trip, if I can do that, well, maybe I can get a chapter done when I go to Miami and back. Whoops, another chapter. And, 14 trips later, 15 trips later, there's a book, and then you get an editor, etc. But that's really it, is sharing the vulnerable parts of where I've been and the things that I've seen in a way that hopefully is, again, empowering, enlightening, and freeing for, those who are like, I'm kind of stuck.
I mean, did you go through any challenges, or do you have any maybe highlights?
Every day. I mean, the part of what you get out of the book, I mean, one of the chapters I've been kind of close to lately is the whole idea of for the love of being stuck. And my idea is that, there are times when you're on the road and it's raining so hard that the best decision that you can make is to put on your blinkers, pull over to the side under an underpass, turn off your car and turn off the windshield wipers and let the storm pass. Number one, because all storms do pass. But I have challenges every single day. Whether it's trying to figure out what I'm going to do with a wine brand that's, 1/100th of the size of a lot of our larger competitors. How do you compete for shelf space? How do you compete for, awareness? Or whether it's, and Nancy, you and I, you've adopted me as an accountability partner and vice versa. But, I've gone through some very significant, relationship challenges as of late, and trying to figure out how I want to live my life in the future, because I love what I do, but also I enjoy, the companionship of someone that I love, to be able to take a break and just look in their eyes or hold them. And I guess the motivation is, well, if I can't necessarily do it, I see it. I mean, we all know what we need to do. But maybe if I read somebody else's book, I'll get it. And maybe if somebody else reads my book, they'll understand it's okay to be stuck, but it's okay also to set priorities in your relationships. One of which is just to enjoy the person. Stop looking for milestones. Everybody's like, well, what's next? What's next? But what's now? We don't really, we're not taught to enjoy now. We're not taught to enjoy being, in love with this particular moment. And this is really all we have. We don't know what's next. We don't know, we know what's in the past, and we can't go back and change it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, those are the challenges I have every single day. Business, personal. I want to spend more time with my daughter, who's 10 and amazing right now. Personal, I would love to, be able to find a companion that allows me to be me, but also is cool with, spending our time together and enjoying one another and going and doing her thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's ever going. And I guess the journey of life is one where it never ends until it ends. And that's kind of a fun part of it, if you really look at it.
So it sounds like you are sharing a lot about your journey and being vulnerable with both your audience as a musician. Like you said, you share a lot on stage, and you're sharing in your new book. You're really diving into it. So how else are you kind of sharing your successes and failures and helping inspiring others and affecting positive changes?
So I have my podcast as well. It's the FLO podcast with Marcus Johnson, and I've developed a model that's called Deeper. The acronym means dream, engage, environment, plan, execute, and reflect. And I believe that anybody with a passion and a life model can achieve anything. It will take time. You have to develop it, because learning to live your life for you is a skill. It's not a talent. It's something that you have to develop through discipline, some ups and downs. And so making sure that you have a dream that's yours, not anybody else's, mom's, dad's, significant others. Literally being engaged in it, where you write down on a piece of paper what you need to achieve, and having a witness where you sign it as an engagement letter, like you would with an attorney, so that you're actually committing to yourself in the contract that you are going to reach this, and you have a person there with you. The one, besides choosing our dream, one of the most important parts that of our lives that we have control of, yet we're told that we don't, is the environment that we have around us. And
True.
with that second E in environment, it's really about making the decision to put you first, to put your mask on first, to put your seatbelt on first, so that, you know, through the bumps, you don't fly out of your seat, break your neck, you know, in an airplane. You actually, the airplane of life, that is, you actually can, you know, bounce around, yet still control, or have a level of control and adaptability with, you know, the conditions that are around you. And with that, it's really eradicating everything that is taking from you and draining, and promoting everything that is, you know, seeding into you, and being very pragmatic about it. And people are like, well, do you have to have a checklist? I don't see that that's a bad idea. You know, if you see certain things in somebody and you can call it out, I mean, it's just like, you know, I do a lot of trading. If you see a bad trade and you know it's going south, you need to get out of it. And life is very similar in that, you know, the people that we choose to be around, and the people, places, things, and ideas that we choose to have in our lives, when you see it going in the opposite direction, you need to eradicate it. Having a written plan, if it's not written, it's just a dream. I can tell you, I've been on the way to the bathroom many times to be disrupted by a notification, and then to look back up and have to ask myself, what was I doing? Where was I going? You know, life is ever changing. And that piece of paper, when it gets cloudy, you know, when you get stuck, it's the thing that allows you to go back to it to say, like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Here's where I'm going. And then actually going out and doing it. And then the last part of deeper is reflecting. And most of us continue to do. It's my plan, I'm doing, my plan, I'm doing, my plan, I'm doing. But very few of us really take the time out to pragmatically reflect, because that's where wisdom is developed. Experience is one thing. Experience is not wisdom. The fact that you go back and you evaluate it, the fact that you reflect upon it, that's where you develop the wisdom to say, I won't do that next time. And here's how I move forward. So putting that out into the world, whether it's through the podcast and we go really deep into deeper, or the book, or my TED Talks, or, you know, I'm doing a lot of keynote speaking around the country now, where I share that light of, you know, make sure you're doing things for the love of you, and have a model, whether it's deeper or some other model that you can go to when you get lost. It's not a matter of if you get lost. It is when you get lost, or for those times when you get lost, because it's not, I'm going to get lost once. You know, you're going to get lost every day, you know, and when you do, and you may get lost multiple times in a day, all you got to do is go back to your plan. Oh, that's right. Let me get back here. And as you develop that discipline, you understand it just becomes like a symphony.
And we didn't even mention this in the beginning, but yes, the name itself, FLO, for the love of. It's just inspiring in itself. We mentioned in terms of the book, but yeah, that's the overall name of the brand. And it's just, you know, self-explanatory, you know, find what you love and make it your passion. And I think one thing, so many things that you just said that I want to dive into, but of course we don't have the rest of the day, which I would love to. But one thing I want to touch on is what you said about writing your ideas down, and, you know, unless you put on paper, it's just dreams. And I think that's so true. And like you said, how many times have you not been on your way to the bathroom and you didn't write something down, you forgot what you were doing? I think also, if you have something where you keep writing things down as they come up in your head, or a lot of people just take voice notes too and just keep it there as they're on the go, and you revisit that later, it's invigorating. You know, it kind of re-inspires you, like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot about that idea. Let me dive into that again. So it's such a huge benefit to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And even the fact of, you know, what you brought earlier, you know, putting your belt on, or your mask on first, people don't realize the reason they're doing it is not because we're greedy. It's actually the opposite. It's because we want to be able to take care and serve the other, and to do it well, we gotta do it for ourselves first.
You know, and I think that, you know, one of the things that we end up, like, we think that being self-centered is a negative. Excuse me. And it's not. Being self-centered is actually an imperative, because if I can't take care of me, I can't take care of you. If I don't love myself, then I can't love you. Or I can't allow you to love me. No one can love you nor think more highly of you than you think of yourself. And again, these are things that we aren't taught, because you know it comes off in our society as, well, it's selfish, and that is kind of I think a control of evil. Evil wants you to think that taking care of yourself, which is your temple, which is your likeness of a creator, that if you take care of that, oh my God, then you really are able to fight evil. And evil doesn't want that. Evil wants the control. That's why algorithms, are really scary right now. That's why AI is really scary right now. And instead of us, by taking care of yourself, you understand that you are a creator and not a finder. And so people are like, I'm trying to find myself. It's not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And if you're looking for something, any way will get you there. But when you're creating something, that, requires structure. And we have been brainwashed to make sure that we fit in with everybody else. Yet we've been inherently infused with confusion, because then it's like, but if you're not special, then there's something wrong with you. So wait a minute, you want me to be special, yet you're grading me according to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our education system in and of itself is undoing, devolving humanity, if you ask me, because standardization, when you're requiring specialization, is that's lunacy. But that's how we're living. You have to be you have to be able to understand who you are, whose you are, why you are, where you're going, when you're going to get there, and the fact that you're not going to let any of these things get in your way. I know you evil. You know what I mean? I know when I need to, I have a wine brand. I know when I need to take a month off. I take drinking off Lent for Lent, to make sure that I can. I know when I'm starting to feel a little down and I need to take a vacation. Well, you have to get work done. Well, if I die because I've exhausted myself, which people do every second, then I'm not. What is my daughter going to do? What are my friends going to do? What are the people who I want to help going to do? So I just believe that it's.
Yeah, no, that was, I love that. Who you are, whose you are, what you are, how you are. Like, this is awesome. I love it. Just going off a little bit, how does the concept of living one's passion manifest in your personal life and your career as well?
Living one's passion is it's almost like a misnomer in some ways, because I believe that passion is a thing. It's not necessarily something that you live, it's something that you bring to. And the reason I say that is because your passion might not be able to afford you a lifestyle that uh, the lifestyle that you desire. It may not be able to afford you what you've been accustomed to. So there are things that are hobbies that you like to do, and then there's this thing called passion and desire and discipline and excellence that you can actually bring to anything. And so for me, when you look at, oh, well, Marcus went to a top law school in the United States. Yeah, I brought passion to it. A top business school in the United States. Yeah, I brought passion to it. Had a record label. I brought passion to it. Owns a wine brand. I brought my passion to it. Have learned new ways to do math, because this new math from left to right that they're teaching my daughter, I didn't necessarily understand it, but I brought my passion to it for my daughter. And then to see how she responds to me, and Dad, I really miss you, or Dad, I really appreciate the time that you spent with me. A couple of weeks ago when we did Legos, and I picked her up from school, and she's like, Dad, I just want to do Legos tonight. Let's do it. I brought passion to it. It wasn't, okay, I'm sort of kind of trading on the side. I'm sort of trying to, talk to this person on the phone or get business done. It was us watching Alice in Wonderland, her doing her, Lego Friends beach house, side house to the beach house, and me doing a car, and the last thing she said to me was, Dad, I know you're busy, but I really want to say thank you for taking the time out to really pay attention to me and give me the time tonight. I really enjoyed it.
I love that.
And when your 10-year-old says that, number one, you must be like, thank God, because something's going right where your 10-year-old can voice that to you and feel that. But also thank God for taking a second out, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
To bring passion to your kid. I play golf, bringing passion to it. Trading, bringing passion to it. And yes, you can bring passion to everything that you do. You just have to use your calendar to make sure that, as you exhaust some of your energy, that there's a time when you need to replenish it. But you bring passion to that too. Passionately rest.
One of my friends once said, one of our key responsibilities as parents are to create the positive memories in our kids that they can think back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the example you just gave, that's how you create those memories, right? Remembering that, we gave the time when we had other things we could have done, but this is what we focused on and made them the priority in our lives. So that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Well,
and I was going to say unapologetically.
Yeah. So having said that, though, you're a lot of things to a lot of people. So how do you balance all these roles? You're an entrepreneur, you're a musician, author, you're an educator, I understand, and a father. How do you balance all those roles in your everyday life?
Calendar. Your calendar is your,
Right.
people poo-poo the idea of a calendar.
Oh, we don't.
Yeah, again, and you're in your coaches, you are working with business people to find these areas of opportunity for growth, but opportunity for replenishment, opportunity for to find more opportunities. The calendar, as I tell people, you will do a budget every day or every quarter for a business. Maybe once a month you talk to your accountant. You will do a calendar if you work for the government on the quarterly. You will do a calendar every year for the IRS in the United States and whatever that function is in other parts of the world. But you won't do a budget, or we don't value a budget for the most important resource that we have. It is not money. And that just shows you the fact that our values as people are off kilter. You can get money back. You can't get a second back. You can lose a fortune and build it back again. You can't. I can never get 9 years old back with my daughter.
Yeah.
I can never get 3 years old back with my daughter. I can never get 40 years old back with Marcus Johnson. So it is very important to say, okay, here's where I want to be. Here's who I want to be. And then, putting it in your calendar to see there are only 24 hours in a day. So am I going to teach this semester? Probably not, because I have some other things that I want to do. Am I going to travel more, over this summer? Yes, because it's important. My friends are getting older. One day the lights go off and they won't come back on.
Mm-hmm.
These are things where, planning is such a necessary component. And it may seem like it is boring. It may seem like it is, something that it's taxing. But literally, you do it for every other thing except your most valuable resource. And when I consult, it's funny. I go in, and the first question I ask in a business setting is, okay, what do you value? Oh man, I get these great answers. I value my family. I value my higher power, God, Jesus. I value work. I value my community, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm like, that's awesome. Now, show me in the past 2 weeks in your calendar where you've allotted the exact amount of time for the things that you said. In 100% of the time, somebody's like, oh. You hear the big sucking sound in the room because it's bullshit. We're sold this thing over here to say, here's what I'm saying, here's what I'm telling myself. But when it comes time to actually put it on paper, then it's like, oh man. And that's why I say the plan has to be written, because you need to see, oh my God, my receipt of my most valuable resource, my calendar, says that I am bullshitting. All I care about is money and work. I haven't spent time with my significant other. We haven't done any planning for the family. I don't know where my kids are. There's no soccer this. I didn't call my best friend. Oh my God, I haven't hit the gym. I'm eating like crap. And then you're like, well, no wonder you feel like crap.
Yeah.
All the things that would be seeding into your life, you're not seeding into them. And seeding is a two-way street. You know what I mean? It's like, lately they found that there's two-way communication between the stomach and the brain. Well, exactly. You need to feed your brain, and your brain needs to kind of guide your tummy, and vice versa. It's the same thing in life. You have to take the time to do it. And again, these are skills that we're not necessarily taught. We're taught executive function, but we're not taught, interpersonal executive function.
Very true.
What are you in the mirror doing today, this week, this month?
And it's important, Marcus, to say it straight up to the person. Sometimes we'll get people that'll say, oh yeah, Nancy, that's really good what you're doing. Sorry, that's like me playing the violin.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I explain it. I'm like, God, play the guitar.
Yeah.
Tell me exactly how it is, because that's the only way that I'm going to succeed, is if you tell me the real, what am I doing good? What am I doing bad? So I know you mentor a lot of people as well in your role as an educator as well. But as an educator, can you maybe share maybe a key lesson or a message that you hope to maybe instill in your students about entrepreneurship, about success, things like that, that our listeners can learn from you at the same time?
Man, that is it's like a whole semester, and I always get students that are like, Professor Johnson, 14 weeks wasn't enough. Can I stay in contact with you afterwards, because I just want to bounce things off of you? I have one guy who is a painter. His name is John Lister in New Orleans, and he's gone from Bowie State, when I was teaching there and taking my class, to having major exhibits in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. He's getting major commissions, and now he's flying all around the country. And all he does is call me professor. And professor. And, this is 15 years out of being a student of mine, and I'm still professor. And it's because I challenge my students to not party to the grade. Don't study to the grade. Who are you? Tell me who you are and commit to that. One of the lessons that I immediately teach them, and it takes about 3 weeks, is that you can't say I would like to. You have to say either I'm going to or I'm not. I'm going to try. You're not trying. Either you're doing it or you're not. What are you committed to? And I think in our humanity, in our level of existence right now, everything is kind of sort of. I remember in Le Amistad, when they won the first court case, and the guy was like, the African, slave that was on the ship was like, well, we won, right? He was like, sort of. And I was like, sort of? What kind of word is this, right? What are you talking about? Either we win or we don't. You either do or you don't. Trying, when you're stuck in trying, you are always stuck in trying. And that's unacceptable. Absolutely. So it takes 3 weeks, and then they're like, oh, well, I'm going to go to law school. Oh, you're not trying anymore, huh? You're actually doing it. And they're like, oh, yeah, Professor Johnson. Exactly. And that's what you need to do with everything. Either you're doing it or not. And I know it's hard. I mean, I can go back. I'm not perfect at this, right? I can go back in relationships and be like, well, you either are, all right, let's say like this. Is it a false equivalency to say like you're going to get married or you aren't? Right? Or is the true, determinant of a relationship the fact that you're committed and you show up every day? Because I see a lot of people who are married, and we'll leave it there, ... But I see a lot of people who are committed and actually happy without, the quote unquote title, and then conforming to roles. But what does that mean to you? and just making sure that you have people around you that have the same values. But for you, what is your do? What is it that you're doing and that you aren't going to do? And then you stay committed to it. That is your dream. Write it down on a piece of paper with your witness. Have people, places, things, and ideas around you that allow you to have a fertile environment. Have a written plan, execute, reflect, and do it again and again and again. And that's the cycle of deeper.
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna plug my there we go, because I don't want this to cut off on me.
No problem.
It gave me that you need to plug me in message. So there we go.
So one thing we like to ask all our guests is, because we know this through our own journeys, all the amazing things you've done so far in life, and you had a more exciting journey than most with everything you are currently doing and that you've been going through, but things never work out the way we think they do. So we want to ask you, what have been some of the biggest surprises throughout your journey? A time where you thought, this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to work out, this is who I'm going to be, but no, that's not what it ended up being. What has surprised you the most?
My daughter. Honestly, I mean, I was not with her mom, and I was wonder kid, and for me to have a kid out of wedlock, I was going through some things, and once I got separated and divorced, like every other human, man, I kind of just I was lost for a little bit. And the biggest surprise was when they put her in my arms and I had a conversation with her. And I've never talked to my daughter as though she was a baby doll or anything. I've always talked to her like she was a little person. And she looked up at me and she, like she really had these piercing eyes. Some kids are like, oh, all right. She looked at me and I was like, your name is Chase. My name is Marcus. I'm your father. And I want you to know that I have your back until the day I die. And she responded by peeing on me. And I mean, that's the only thing that she could do at the time because, she couldn't really do. And that was, my dad cracked up. He was right there. He just cracked up. And he's like, that's how we do. So, that instantaneous feeling of the need to nurture and to support and to provide, and like things are different now, and this is a different kind of love that happened like that, and understanding all the things my dad used to say and do when I was younger, and that I didn't understand then, but it happened at once. And I think it hits guys different than it hits women, but it was something that was like, wow. And that changed because I was setting up for tours. I was in Africa when I actually found out that my daughter was coming. And I was not ecstatic about it because, again, I just gotten separated or divorced. And I was like, oh my God. And literally the day that my divorce was final, 7 days after that, I had a sonogram with this strong heartbeat. And I was like, well, she is going to be a, superstar. And it's like, that's changed. Surprises, I mean, you never know. Like, I never thought I'd be in the wine business. Surprises, I never thought that mp3.com or Napster would come in when they came in and decimate the music industry. And really decimating our revenue and having to figure out, oh my God, how am I going to fix this? I never thought I'd have a candle line. I knew I would speak and I knew I would, do things to change the world, but, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing at 50, what I'm doing right now. I thought it might be a little bit bigger, a little bit different, and really coming to grips with like where you are is okay. And being okay with where you are and still having plans and saying like, yeah, well, it didn't work out that way, but also understanding that certain things have a way of, well, everything has a way of kind of manifesting in its own time. And when you go to these high-powered schools and you come from families like all my brothers and sisters are doctors and lawyers and, you know, super successful. They live in big houses, do big things. And having that model to say, like, this is what success is, but me really being the one that kind of is happy and watching them kind of come back to me and say, like, well, did therapy help you that much? Sure did. You know, because I mean, I can take off and I'm in Florida right now in an Airbnb that I got on the way here, you know, driving in a car saying, I'm going to stay here, and having the money to be able to do it, and having the self-love to be able to say, like, I'm going to take this break. These are things where, I mean, again, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, a senator, maybe governor of Maryland, you know, those kind of things like that.
Great.
Here I am, a teacher, you
You
know,
know,
and
Marcus. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I'm just happy to be a teacher.
Yeah, and you know, when I first heard you and your daughter speak, the one thing that I loved about your passion about being a father is being very straight up with the child as well. Because, you know, that's one thing this world just does again. I think it's just that violin again, and just say it the way it is so that these kids can grow up in a way that is different than the way that the world is right now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you do that with your daughter, and she's gonna grow up to a um very passionate, not about family, but about serving the world, because you are teaching her that, right? That it's not about her, it's not about you, it's about the world. So listen, Marcus, you have so many projects that I know of, and we're all looking forward to them. Can you just give us a little brief, just so people can see like what they should be looking forward to, your future projects, with the FLO Brands and yourself? Maybe you can just share with the audience a little bit.
Well, we are continuing to build a wine brand in the United States. We're nationwide at Total Wine and More, which is pretty huge for us. We're working with an organization called Black Vines, which is kind of a collective of African American and BIPOC owned wine brands and affiliated businesses. And it's necessary because when I'm trying to think, the majority of the meetings, probably 99% of the meetings that I go into, I am the only person that looks like me. And whether it's retail, distributor, you know, wholesale, it is, and partners, the decision makers, they don't necessarily understand, well, why would I give you this space here? It's not giving me, it's actually investing in yourself, because there's a whole sandbox that you've been neglecting that comes into your store and walks by this aisle because you're not paying any attention to them. And having mass in order to do that is very important. So I work closely with our supplier diversity teams and the teams of some of the larger corporations in the United States. So the wine is going to continue to grow. We're working on our FLO Fest, and we're doing activations around the country where we have wine, jazz, and music. And that is a thing that differentiates FLO from a lot of the other wine brands, because I actually show up. I actually talk to people, perform. Then new music is coming out. I have a new, I guess in the next couple of weeks, our new kind of lo-fi chill hop CD that's coming through, our releases that have remixed a lot of the stuff I've done in the past. And going forward, looking at some of the new, like, I'm kind of I'm not a house head, but I love like Brazilian music, like bossa nova covers. And there's a new kind of flow coming out of South Africa that a buddy of mine from France and I have been working on for a while. It's called Amapiano, and it's like Afro beats meets house music, but it sits perfect with, you know, the urban kind of jazz stuff that we do. So, you know, working on stuff like that and traveling. I'm flying. I can't wait to get back up in the air. I've taken a hiatus since my stepfather passed. but in the next month and a half or so, I'll be back in the air. And that's also one I've always wanted to fly. And I think that you should do things that you want to do, because life is short. And but also I can get back if I go to, if I can fly to Orlando and take my vacation, or fly to the beach and take a few days off and come back and be back in time for ballet, etc. But between the music, the wine, our events, our candles, cannot keep those in stock. So we have a new order coming in the next week. So, man, and just spending more time with my daughter, and my mom is getting older. So you put all that together. I mean, that's my flow. So wine at all the stores. We also ship around the country. We're working to get it into Canada right now as well as Europe. The music, you can find all of it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, YouTube, all that kind of stuff there. And then concerts, and really doing much more speaking as well. That's where, like, this thing here, this is me. Being able, I don't need I don't need note cards, and I really hate keynotes. I wish they were more like question and answers. Like, give me 10 questions. Give me 10 questions that you want me to answer, and then I'll go and do the work. Me talking about some shit that might not be relevant to you, it doesn't matter. So I always pull my panels together that way, and my keynotes, but much more speaking, much more podcasting, because I believe that my perspective is unique. And I also believe that it shouldn't be.
That it shouldn't be unique.
It should not. It shouldn't be.
More people should live like that.
Yes.
And believe
100%.
That. I agree.
Yeah, 100%. We just, as humans, we're just not taught the right way. So we need more Marcus Johnsons to like open their brain and say, hey guys, put that information in, because it's going to make a difference in your life.
It will. It absolutely will.
Well, I would say you definitely inspired us today, and I'm sure you inspired many of our listeners and our audience. So I greatly appreciate you sharing your insight and educating us. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you for what you all are doing and giving people like myself a platform, and the work that you're doing in your communities, with coaching, and that is a labor of love as well, because you are a counselor, a business consultant, and a babysitter, all in one. Trust me, I know. And
you summed it up.
That is it.
It's because the world needs some transparent, authentic people. And look, the three of us, that's what we do, right? These are the types of people that we need to be able to flourish this world, make it a better world.
Absolutely.
Right? Marcus, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to put you backstage for about a minute or two, and then we'll come and join you back in a minute.
Okay.
That's okay with
Thank you.
See you soon.
All right, Nancy. Takeaways from that amazing conversation. I have a whole pad full of notes here.
Yeah.
I tend to take notes as we're talking to make sure, what did we just talk about? You have your ideas, you write them down, right? So
the first one that I wanted to bring, and I wanted to bring this is one of the last thing that he brought, but I thought it was one of the best things to bring first, is to bringing passion in everything that you do.
Yes.
And don't forget that it starts with your calendar and putting a plan together. If it's not on your calendar, if there is no plan, guess what? You are never going to do it. So if you really want to follow your passion, you got to start somewhere, and those are the two best places to start.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think, just trying to pick one of my notes here, but one thing that really resonates with me, which I don't think we do enough of, is, being thankful for where we are now. Not living in the past, not always looking back and suffering from what happened in the past, and, letting that go. And don't worry so much about what's coming in the future, what's going on in your life right now. What can you look at and evaluate and be grateful for and celebrate? I think, like Marcus said, that's truly, truly important to be able to be a happy, fulfilled person.
Absolutely, because the past is gone, the present is now, and the future is not here yet. So stop looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I love that. He mentioned also a point about doing things for the love of you. not getting lost. Get back to your plan. If you're getting off track, get back to it, right? Again, whether it has to do with our kids, our business, all that, right? And that same idea, you come first. That the reason that you're putting that mask or that belt on first before your child is because you want to do a good job when you want to be able to help serve more. But if you don't serve yourself, how can you serve another?
And that's always difficult for, especially, you're speaking to two moms here. You know how difficult that is for us.
Totally agree.
And we've talked about this in the past. It's like, yes, we know we have to take care of ourselves first, but actually putting it into action, it's very difficult. But we keep striving for it, and we will do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, to piggyback on what you just said too, don't go out there to try to find yourself, but create yourself. I love that. You're in charge of who you should be and who you become. Create the person you feel that you are meant to be, and put that effort in to do it. Like
to be able,
don't try, do it.
I love it too. Yeah, I'm the same like him. I believe the word try, can't, and a few others, they shouldn't even be in our English vocabulary. I don't know who put them out there, but they really should be non-existent.
I literally just said it like a minute ago, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said try.
You know what? We do. But that's how we grow, right?
Yes. So thank you for keeping that top of mind for me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've been living with that for years now. Even when I hear the kids or my husband or even the coaches or my clients, I always repeat that. Are you really trying it, or are you actually doing it?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're trying. What do you think, right? And also, when you were talking about the creative side, what's really important is like what he said, who you are, whose you are, what you are, how you are, all these things. That's going to all come out also with that passion. So when you learn more about you, learn more about the other, there's more shine that definitely comes in there. I mean, I added a few of my little words in there, but the idea is what he said.
No, I agree. You're working within your values and your goals, and not what anybody else imposed on you and anybody else's expectations of you. Then you are going to approach it with a passion, because it's yours. It's who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Anita, another awesome podcast. Guys, make sure that you keep in touch with Anita and I. Learn what else is going on, opportunities, additional information that we can help you, and what you could learn from us, not just us, but from our guests as well. Yes.
And come back next Tuesday. We have another impactful guest. We will be speaking with Nancy Mackey. I know this is weird. We have Nancy Baki. We'll be speaking with Nancy Mackey from Open Gate Resources. That has me confused all the time. She is great. She holds leadership development groups that are truly amazing. And her goal is to create leaders of influence that will go out there and make their own impact. So join us next week to learn more about the work she does and the difference she makes.
Yes. And guys, don't miss out on our future episodes. Okay. You're going to find a recording on this show today on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to hear them on Spotify and all the streaming on the podcasts. Guys, we are here to say thank you for supporting us. Thank you for joining us. Please join us again next week. Learn a little bit more about the work Nancy Mackey does, the difference that she's making. And guys, until next week, please go out and make an impact. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voices. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode.